Oh, what grim and twisted fates await on the Isle of the Doomed. Hello and welcome to a very exciting Mod of the Day video, because today we're featuring not just a dungeon mod, but a landmass and quest dungeon mod, taking you to a fantastic new, horrifically atmospheric island for you to fight and explore. And I do mean horrific in terms of horror, because this is a horror mod. It is dripping with creepy atmosphere and disturbing details and scripted encounters and, so much more. But before I get carried away, let's actually introduce the mod first. So our mod of the day today is Silent Island by Billyfighter, and it is, I think, probably the best mod that Billyfighter has released, and, that's saying something, considering he also released Mudcrab Imports earlier this year, and that was one of my top 15 mods of 2021. Obviously, before this one, but it is saying something that this is an even better experience. But again, before I get carried away, let's actually introduce you to the story a bit. So, this all begins in Dagenfell, where you'll, encounter a woman that is trying to save her lover from 6 house slavers that have kidnapped him. And there's a few ways you can approach the island. You can try and use a disguise and, get through the first parts of the dungeon. Or you can just, start killing everyone, Either way, it's fine. Point is, you're trying to find out where exactly her lover is being held and, try and rescue him. And this is the start of a really quite a long dungeon. My test playthrough with a cheat character took about 55 minutes almost. So I would imagine that for the average player that's actually playing through this, in order to experience everything, you're probably looking at maybe about 2 hours, and there are sort of a mix of areas here that aren't necessarily high level, but might benefit from a high level character. Like, I think most characters level 10 through 15 will be able to get through probably 90-95% of the content here relatively easily, but there are some sections, particularly the boss fights, that might get a bit tricky. And these boss fights are really just extremely well done. These are scripted encounters that feature these creatures called ash rainers, which are basically pyramid heads. And they are terrifying. These guys are very hard to take down, just one-on-one. Really, sometimes your best option is to just try and run away if you can. There are scripted elements that allow you to potentially run away, though it's not always a guarantee, and obviously they are going to try and chase after you. And that is a whole terrifying encounter. Like, just keep running, just keep running. Don't look back, just make it to the next room. Of course, there are other ways to deal with these boss fights. There are scripted environmental components that you can use to kill these bosses, like drop them into a lava pit, or have a giant swinging axe, like cut their head off, or, something like that. Those are things that you can potentially use to deal with these really difficult boss fights, though you might have to, do a little bit of navigating to try and trick them into them. But anyway, this is just an utterly impressive, atmospheric, and beautiful, in a sense, looking set of dungeons. And obviously, this is a 6-house themed dungeon set. Basically, the entire island is controlled by the 6th house, and there's a bit of, a story going on here, where the 6th house is using pirates and smugglers to bring in slaves for some nefarious reason to this island. And, that does kind of fit, actually, with the vanilla game, because there's plenty of smugglers that are working in the vanilla game with the 6th house. And as you try and just, uncover the story here and try and beat the dungeon, You'll go through a number of areas, some of which are populated by enemies, and other of which are jumping puzzles, like, platformers, like this section, or, otherwise have some, puzzle that you'll have to work through in order to get to the next section. And there is just quite the variety in just dungeon delving elements in this mod. There's really just quite a bit here, and I think this might be the most unique dungeon delving mod that we've had since probably the Battle Right Mafala, which I think that came out in, 2018? It was kind of like this as well, with, environmental elements and puzzles and a few things like that. That's another classic dungeon mod, though I don't know if it still holds up quite as well today. But anyway, there's also a ton of unique loot that you'll find in Silent Island, like tons of Six House themed loot. Most of this is from Herb Data, I think. But anyway, there's a ton of dungeon environments for you to fight through here. I mean, you're talking underground, ancient city ruins, massive lava chambers, pirate bays, tunnels and caverns. There is a ton here. This is a massive dungeon with a ton to see and do, lots to loot, and a fairly compelling storyline. Like, this is one of the best horror dungeon mods I've seen in a long time. Though I feel like I've been saying that a lot this year. Like, we've had so many great dungeon mods this year. It is absolutely fantastic. Though I would certainly count this as probably the most unique dungeon mod of 2021. Anyway, that's our mod of the day. So, as always, I've been your host, Dark Elf Guy. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.